Today on Community Cooking, we have guest chef and registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin making another healthy meal. We're making smoky vegetarian beans with whole grain cornbread and paprika sautéed vegetables. We're cooking with some of the best chefs from right here in our own community. So grab a seat, get comfortable. We've got another great meal for you. This is your Community Cooking. Hello and welcome to Community Cooking. I am your host, Kirk Lyons. In our kitchen today is our friend Jessica Beaudoin, registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Very well. Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
We've had a few go-arounds here, haven't we?
I've been here a couple of times.
Yeah, you have. And you are, like I said, a registered dietitian, and you are at Providence Little Company of Mary, correct?
That's right. I work as a registered dietitian in the hospital at Little Company of Mary in Torrance. One of my favorite things to do is work with our patients to talk about simple substitutions and easy ways that they can improve the quality of their diets.
Nice. And now today, you're sort of, well, this isn't a riff, this is cornbread.
Yes.
It's cornbread, but it is a whole grain cornbread.
Exactly. Important distinction when it comes to the nutritional qualities of this cornbread. Most cornmeal that people buy out there is going to be refined grains, and so this is a way that we're going to be using whole grain, whole meal cornbread in order to improve the nutrient density of this meal.
And then we are going to do a smoky vegetarian white bean, is that it?
Yes.
All right.
It's a riff on one of my mom's classics growing up. We used to have a lot of beans and cornbread, and it always had ham in it, which is a processed meat. And so a couple of the dishes that we're doing today, I'm bringing in some smoky flavors into a vegetarian style.
So it's a little chili-esque, a little red beans and rice sort of quality to it, but we're doing it vegetarian, keeping it smoky, and keeping the cornbread.
Exactly.
Great, perfect. Why don't you run us through the ingredients for our whole grain cornbread?
Okay, so in our whole grain cornbread, we're going to use whole grain cornmeal.
That's important.
That's important.
So let's sort of talk around this here a little bit, because
Sure.
we're not going to really name brand names,
Right.
but there are different types of cornmeal when you go to the store.
Absolutely.
Some are in boxes and they're on the shelf with everything else, and then there's others that are usually in bags
Yes.
and they're a little coarser.
Exactly.
Did I
And
do a
that's
good job?
That's it.
All right. Go to the store, walk that aisle, you'll figure it out.
So this is a whole grain cornmeal. It comes in a bag. It's a medium grind. And the distinction between whole versus refined is that we're getting the germ and the endosperm and the husk of that
As opposed to it
corn.
being stripped off or bleached, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's got a nice texture
And
to
so
it.
a medium, and that's important too. Because
Yes.
too fine, too fine or too coarse, it's going to be a completely different consistency.
It totally changes the bake.
Okay. What else, ma'am?
We also have a whole wheat flour as well.
That takes the place of regular old AP bleached flour.
Exactly. Again, incorporating some whole grains. We're going to be using a low-fat milk instead of a whole-fat dairy, so this is 1% milk. In addition to that, we've got 1 egg, a little bit of baking powder, just 1 teaspoon
For
to help
leavening.
it. Exactly. Some salt, and then we're going to take some freshly shucked corn,
Love it.
a little bit of honey, and a little bit of oil to bring it all together.
So that's to sweeten it a little bit.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
So pretty straightforward mix. We're going to start by taking some of the whole grain cornmeal and then whisking that together with our whole wheat flour as well as some baking powder.
So our dry ingredients.
Our dry ingredients, whisking those together for a good combination.
Also known as the muffin method.
Yes, exactly.
Because we got all our dry ingredients. Do we do our salt now too?
Yes, thank you.
You're very
just
welcome.
about a half
I'm here to
teaspoon
help.
of salt. That's what you're here for. Thank you very much.
You got it.
So just a pinch of salt.
And you need that when you're baking.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, that's a minuscule amount of salt per, right? I mean, even if you're looking to watch your sodium, you're cool,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's mostly for the food science aspect of things, making that bake rise properly.
And then
bringing it
also
all
too,
together.
just like waking up some of the flavors. You need that salt to do that.
To bring in some of that.
So the muffin method, what we were referring to, dry ingredients in one bowl, wet in another, and then add the wet to the dry, and there you go. That's how you make muffins.
Exactly, and you don't want to
Pancakes.
overmix it. That's the main thing once you combine the wet and the dry ingredients.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's funny because you see a lot of people mixing until it's like lump-free. Lumps are good.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you overmix it and you don't get the same rise.
Yep, and it gets a little tougher.
Okay.
So with the corn, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make our own creamed corn without
Right.
using a can. So I've got some fresh farmer's market corn that we're going to then just zip up a little bit in the blender.
All right. Well, shout out to the Torrance Farmers Market.
That's right.
For their freshly shucked corn. Well, you shucked it.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
They just sold it
Shuck
to you.
your own corn.
Right.
Just kind of buzz that up until it's mostly thinned out. Kind of
But
puree
not
nicely.
completely pulverized.
Exactly.
You need a little texture in there.
And then we'll add the rest of our wet ingredients to it. In fact, I'm going to add the egg before we add the rest, just so that combines nicely.
Okay.
So crack a nice little egg in there. And then blend those two things together.
All right. Yeah, you really are just making your own creamed corn.
Yep. Exactly. All right. And then the next is just to finish adding the rest of the ingredients. And since we've got it in here already, might as well just mix it all together.
Go,
and
go,
it will
go.
all fit.
It's always all of it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's about 3 tablespoons of oil and 3 tablespoons of honey.
Is that canola oil?
It is. And this honey, the amount of added sugar in each cornbread slice is going to be only 1 teaspoon. So
Oh, okay.
it's quite small.
Once again, fairly minuscule.
Exactly.
All right, great.
You got it. And we'll burr this all
Very
together.
easy recipe here.
Quite straightforward.
Yeah. No excuses. Right?
And like I said, it's a very easy substitution. I'm always encouraging people to find ways to switch out refined grains and use whole grains instead. It's a great way to maximize.
And not give up on things that you love to eat.
Exactly.
Right? You know, sometimes you've got to like sort of figure a way around it.
That's it.
But there's not that many concessions here. There
Right.
really isn't. I mean, cornbread, aside from the fact that I think what you did is you made it a little bit more nutrient dense.
That's it. Mhm.
Okay? I mean, I don't put a ton of sugar in my cornbread either. I like it more on the savory side, so that's not an issue for me. I do the buttermilk instead of the other milk, so you know, a little bit more fat, but not a big deal. It's really the fact that you're going whole grain and sort of packing more nutrients into the calories.
Yeah, like I said, the concept of nutrient density. So what that means is just putting in more nutrients relative to the total calories.
That is ultimately, if I'm not mistaken, what is going to sort of allow you to maintain a good weight.
Absolutely.
Because you're eating food that satiates you when you eat it, as opposed to eating things that are packed with like over-the-top artificial flavors and no nutrients, and you just kind of sort of keep shoveling in and never get filled up, and then all of a sudden you've eaten an entire bag of chips.
It's a good way to kind of, like I said, improve the nutrient density of your foods,
Right.
but also not overdo it on calories.
Great, great.
So now we're just going to scoop this into the pre-greased pan. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Used a little bit of spray oil to kind of grease that up nicely. Ooh, we still got some batter in there that we'll just smooth out and not overmix.
It's gonna be right. It's gonna be just fine.
Lumpy is all right.
And now, how hot is our oven?
Our oven is preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to bake this up for about 15 minutes, or excuse me, 30 minutes or so. But you want to bake it until you can stick a toothpick inside and it comes out clean.
Yeah, and listen, if you're not exactly sure on the temperature of your oven, you know what? Check it at 25.
Exactly.
Overcooked cornbread, no bueno.
Not good. You don't want to overdo it.
And then just toothpick right in the center. If it comes out clean, good to go.
Then you're
All
ready.
right, I'm going to the oven.
Thank you.
And we will get this in. And we'll let that start cooking.
Yeah.
Tidy up a little bit. Come back, and on the other side, we're going to make our veggies and our smoky beans.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Don't go away. Welcome back. I am with registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin, and we have a whole grain cornbread in the oven.
That's right.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I love me some cornbread. And here is our bevy of beautiful vegetables and ingredients for two dishes. We're going to do our smoky beans. That's right. And we're going to do a sautéed veg.
Exactly. So both of these recipes feature a way to bring smokiness to some vegetarian plant-based meals. I found that several years ago I went vegetarian for a little while, and the first time that I had a really smoky flavor, I thought, oh my goodness, this has been missing from my diet for so long.
Yeah, and you know what's nice? I like it a lot better. Some of the textured vegetable proteins I'm okay with. It just sort of depends on the application and what time. But I'm a bigger fan of, like, you know, if I'm going to do something that's vegetarian or vegan, using the veg.
Yeah.
And then you're right. It's like that the smokiness, unless you've got some sort of smoked pork product, you're going to use the methods that you're using today.
Yeah,
Because I've kind of got a little insight here, so we'll talk about that. Why don't we talk about first the ingredients for the beans?
Okay, so for the beans, we're going to use some diced onions, some diced carrots, minced garlic. I've also brought a little bay leaf.
Great.
And then to season it all up, we've got some mustard, brown sugar, blackstrap molasses.
Oh.
And then we're going to simmer that all with some crushed tomatoes and white beans.
And then our smokiness is back here, though, right?
Exactly. We're going to be using liquid smoke in this particular dish, but I also brought a couple of other examples of things that you can use. Here I have a smoked salt.
Love it. Love smoked salt.
Both great for cooking, but also great for finishing foods. It adds a nice smokiness at the end.
Smoked paprika, delicious as well.
Exactly.
What we should say about this, you're using, first of all, you're using the hickory. You can find this now with hickory and mesquite.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. But word to the wise, one must have a very gentle hand when using this, because if you use too much liquid smoke, you will make the most disgusting food ever, right?
It is potent.
It's potent. I mean, I think it took me like 4 years to go through a bottle this size.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, so you're literally using like a half a capful at a time.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
We're using only a half teaspoon in this
There you
dish.
go.
So,
there you go.
and
All
it's
right.
really
So what shall I prep?
So I think we'll start with the onions and the carrots. You want to work on the carrots, and I'll do some onions?
I will do carrots.
All right.
And you would like these peeled, because I see a peeler
Yes,
right here.
please.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
And then we're looking for what, a dice?
About a small dice on these. You want them to be small enough.
Okay.
About the same size of the beans, more or less.
Got it.
And
Got you.
same
And
with
these
the
are some beautiful carrots. These are farmers market carrots.
Yes, and I saved the greens at home for my own personal use.
Delicious, right?
Yeah.
Good in salads.
Yeah.
Good as a garnish.
You can even use them in soups. You can cook them with a little bit of vinegar and oil.
Sure.
Quite delicious.
And if we were looking to keep from wasting things, there's that added bonus.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that there's nutrition in it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. The woman at the store at the market was asking me if she wanted me to remove the tops before I put them in my bag.
Don't
I
you
said,
dare.
No, I want those. I want to keep those.
Don't you dare.
I will eat them. Very delicious.
All right.
You can do the same with beet greens as well. I never throw out the beet greens.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it depends how long the beets have been in the market.
That's true.
If your beets, well, I was cooking at a restaurant in Los Feliz when I was the executive chef there, and I used to make use of the beet greens because we would get beets in and they would be super, super fresh, and I would pull the greens immediately. Because if you keep them together for any length of time, it's not going to be, it's going to just start breaking down.
Yeah.
So, and I would utilize them in salads for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
They're very good. All right, so I just turned up our pan to a more of a medium heat. Let's see if I got the right one. Yes. And then we're going to use just a little bit of oil to saute this.
Okay.
All right. And once you're ready with the carrots, I'll get started on the garlic. Actually,
Yeah, why don't you do that? I had a two-step process here with the
the peeling.
The peeling and then the right.
Sorry about that.
No.
Giving you the hard job.
Here to help. Listen, gotta earn my pay.
That's right.
That's.
Just giving a nice little fine dice. Mince up this garlic, and we don't add the garlic at the outset. This gets added after the
just because you don't want to burn the garlic.
Exactly.
Is that the deal? All right. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, you know, there's nothing worse than burning garlic. That's a good way to wreck a dish.
Absolutely.
All
right. Beautiful dice.
Good.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Keep that separate.
Okay.
All right, let's get these going in the saute pan.
All right.
In the saucepan.
Do we have something? Oh, there's something in there already. All right. If you bring that pot over to me, I'll get these in there.
Thank you very much.
And then uno más. One more. Dos más. Tres más. There we go. Good.
Get
You're
that
good.
going.
All right.
All right.
Excellent. So we got to start breaking those down.
That's it. They're going to just kind of saute in there for about 5 minutes or so. Get them nice and fragrant.
Because
So I'm gonna
these
turn the heat
beans are
down.
cooked, so we don't really need to
Right.
cook them all that much, correct?
Right, exactly.
All
Not
right.
a whole lot that you need to
Actually,
do
could
here.
you do me a favor and hand me
Sure.
that green bowl? I want to create a garbage bowl here because we got
course.
some.
Always a
think
good idea.
Yeah, I think it's, and you can give me that onion skin.
Thank you. Actually, what I usually do is if I've gotten some produce from the grocery store, I'll save the bag that it came in and use that as my trash bag while I'm
Sure.
cooking.
Or this stuff here, which I've talked about before, this stuff can all be frozen in big bags
Yep.
and then throw it in a pot with water and then just start cooking it on low and slow and make some veggie stock.
That's exactly what I do at home.
Or compost it. Hey, listen, we're talking about not wasting and using everything. There you go.
And
Should I start prepping some of your
you know,
saute?
why don't we?
Okay. What would you like me to do?
So for our sauteed vegetables, we're going to use the peppers, the onions, and summer squash.
Okay.
So why don't you get started on the peppers and onions?
Peppers and onions. Do you need that whole onion or just maybe half?
A big dice. A large dice would be great.
Okay, but like the whole thing or half?
Oh, good question. Let's use half of it
Yeah,
today.
that's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, so like maybe like almost something you'd see on a kebab.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
Good bite size.
I got the picture in my
Looking
head.
for some texture.
And then I will hand you these.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, these are beautiful. I love the yellow skin on this summer squash.
And zucchini.
Just gorgeous.
Zucchini is both those squashes are really, you know, it's funny because they're everywhere, but yet somewhat underused.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
you hear zucchini and you think of like zucchini bread or what have you, but you know, it's like our kids love them. We use zucchini quite a bit. Good vegetable.
Yeah, very versatile. They've got a fairly mild flavor, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with them to
Right.
spice, zhuzh them up. And today we're going to be using some smoked paprika. And the fun thing about the vegetables with the smoked paprika is you can really use pretty much any type of vegetable that you want. You can use cherry tomatoes, mushrooms. You can also use, you know, Brussels sprouts. Pretty much any vegetable does well in this sort of dish.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, smoked paprika, once you get a hold of some smoked paprika, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You'll understand. I mean, it makes everything taste great, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's another thing that you may have to look around for a little bit. It's not the same as regular paprika. You definitely want to make sure you're getting the smoked variety.
Yeah, it'll say smoked, but you know what? It's everywhere now.
Yeah,
It
that's
really
true.
is.
It's definitely much more popular. So, absolutely.
Okay.
And yeah, like I was saying with the different colors of fruits and vegetables, I should say, that we have here, different colors of vegetables have different phytochemicals in them, and all of the different phytochemicals have different health benefits. So really, the more color that you can add to your diet, the more nutrient density you get, and the more variety of nutrients.
Yeah, you know, it's become sort of cliche, like eat the rainbow, but
Yeah.
there's actually truth to it.
It's true.
Right.
It's true.
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Our blue-purple fruits and vegetables are good cancer fighters. Green vegetables are also well known for both their calcium and iron content, as well as, again, cancer-fighting properties. So,
Well, I think you're eating stuff that's grown from the ground like this. You're automatically getting cancer fighters in some way.
oh yeah,
Right?
absolutely. I mean,
Even if it's just the fiber.
Right.
Fiber's a cancer fighter.
exactly, and you only find fiber in plants.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
research just keeps showing more and more the reasons why plants are so good for us at the end of the day. So
Yeah, we definitely like our plants in our house.
Yes.
We definitely do.
that's good. And you know, the key is to make it taste good, and this is a great way that you can add a lot of flavor using some very simple ingredients.
Right. Absolutely. Okay.
All right. So this is looking good and soft. I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic that I minced earlier,
All right.
and then
In it goes.
et voila. Make sure that our other pan is getting good and heated.
And that's just a simple veggie saute.
Exactly. So actually, we're going to go ahead and throw these into a hot pan, and I'm going to use a slightly different technique this time around. I'm going to steam with a little bit of water instead of using a significant amount of oil, because actually there's one of the ways that you can use a little bit less, let's get that a little hotter, a little less fat is by sauteing with some water.
And, you know, it's funny, and you know, one thing that with everything that you're doing here, and you know, like I said, we've worked together before, so
yeah.
I'm familiar with how you kind of go about things. You know, at the end of the day, everything sort of adds up, right?
Yes.
It adds up. So if you have health issues, whether that be high blood pressure or you're borderline diabetic or whatever it is, you know, the fact that, you know, you're removing a little bit of here, a little bit. Now, granted, it might only be a couple tablespoons of olive oil or butter or whatever you're using. Once you go through a whole day, if you do that, it really becomes a much more considerable number.
It adds up.
As opposed to just that one dish. Do you want to
Throw those in?
Yeah. Oh, we're going to have
Chef.
Here we go.
This pan just needs to get a little bit hotter.
Okay. All right.
There we go, and I can see that's getting nice and cranked up. So these vegetables are looking like we're ready to add some of our other ingredients.
Okay.
Oops, forgot a zucchini. So let's go ahead and throw in the seasonings to make this more of like a chili. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some mustard,
which always brings a lot of flavor to things.
Yeah, and you don't need much. This is about a teaspoon worth of mustard. We're going to use some blackstrap molasses.
Blackstrap molasses.
Blackstrap, getting the real stuff
right,
going.
Legit.
Nice and sticky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's stickier than regular molasses.
And be careful, it stains easily.
Yeah, and it's like once again also very, very potent in terms of little goes a long way.
That's right. I'm going to go ahead and take the tomatoes and then the beans and just kind of mix that all in. And the key is to cook it down nicely. Get some of that flavors married together. Let them get to know each other. Okay. And these beans I cooked from scratch at home. Great way to substitute and use less sodium.
Oh wow! So you actually those are dried beans that you cooked.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And then of course.
Yeah, less sodium and cheaper.
That's it.
And then just a little bit of liquid
smoke. A little bit. Don't really need a whole lot here.
Yeah, like I said, you
always got to be careful not to overpour that.
Just drops. We're talking. Right. I mean that is. Yeah, I mean, it just, even that little bit that's left in the spoon is just really potent.
It is, and you can actually smell it already from over here.
Ah, look at you.
So we're going to let this simmer. You want to bring it up to almost like a boil. It's not exactly a boil, but once you start to see the bubbles.
Okay.
And then turn it down a little bit and let it simmer on about a medium heat. And these vegetables, we're going to keep getting them going. Probably going to add a little salt and pepper at this stage, I think.
To the veg? Okay.
Yeah. And throw in the smoked paprika.
Yeah. You know what? We should probably check our cornbread.
That's a good point.
All right, I'm going to go to the oven and do just that.
Thank you.
Let's see here. We do not want to overcook our cornbread. Oh, it looks like it's done.
How's it looking?
I think we're done. It's definitely firmed up. Oh, I think we're good. Let's see.
All right.
Now, ironically, we said test it with a toothpick. We don't have a toothpick. But you can also use a knife. Or a cake tester. Actually, really, I think you're good, Jess.
Yeah?
Ifka.
Came out nice and clean.
I just gave you a nickname. I just gave you a nickname.
I go by Jess as well.
All right, I think we're good. I think
Beautiful.
we're good. Yeah, it came out nice and clean. Ooh. And we, like I said, don't want to overcook it. You hammer this and it just gets dried out and not great.
I made that mistake preparing for the show.
Nice and firm. Definitely not loose in the middle here. It's great.
That's it.
So I'll let that cool.
I can smell it.
I keep a cake tester in the kitchen for a lot of stuff. For like when you boil potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Chef friend of mine showed me that trick. Great for because what happens is people want to like go knife tender on potatoes.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you start testing them before they're knife tender, and before you notice, you start like poking big holes in your potatoes with knives. So he's like, why not use a cake tester? Same thing, gives you the same feel.
So clever.
Yeah, great idea.
I love it. Multi-purpose kitchen tools.
Mm-hmm.
I can smell that smoked paprika as well.
Yeah, I can smell it from here. Are you kidding me? Between that and then the liquid smoke over there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Let's Looks good.
And when did you throw the water in? Yes, you did.
I did. I threw
you
just
did when my
a
back
splash.
was turned.
While you're taking the cornbread out.
And that's just going to provide just enough steam to, and you don't even need to lid that.
No, yeah, it can steam nicely in the saute pan when you got enough heat on the bottom of the pan.
And if it, let's say it doesn't get it quite to where you want it, add a little more water.
Exactly.
Right.
That's it.
It's free.
Once it starts to kind of stick a little bit at the bottom, you can throw in a little bit more.
Sure.
Keep it from sticking. And it's a great way to do an oil-free saute.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I tell you what, why don't we let those go? Let the
Yeah.
beans cook for a little bit. We'll start cleaning up, take a little break, come back and have some food.
Let's do it.
Cool. Don't go away.
Whether you need a hand shopping for groceries, using up scraps, or finishing every bite, Meal Prep Mate can help you plan better and save more. Whether you're a newbie getting your first taste, a meal prepper honing your chops, or a meal prep pro hungry for a challenge, you can learn how to eat smarter, plan better, and save more at every step of meal prep. When you finish every bite, you save. Start prepping with Meal Prep Mate at SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back. I am with registered dietitian Jessica Beaudoin, and we've got our food. Look at us.
Bon appetit.
Yeah, right? I mean, we talk about some colorful plates and a lot of food.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
You won't go hungry today.
Well, it's sort of the nice thing also, too, about eating this way, eating plant-based. You can add a little bit more in terms of quantity.
That's one of my favorite things about eating.
Especially if you're really minding calories and fat grams the way I think you did in this. So,
Yep.
What would you like me to start with?
Let's start with some cornbread and beans, I
Okay,
think. Yeah.
here. Shall you?
Beautiful, thank you.
There you
I'll
go.
take a beautiful piece on the top. I'm going
All
to
right.
sit that right inside of the bowl and kind of
Right.
eat it along with
Right.
it.
Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Smoky. Smoky. I'm trying to think what this reminds me of. Not really a chili, because it doesn't have the cumin.
Or the peppers. Or
I know what it is. Kind of like a barbecued baked bean,
You're right.
but less sweet.
Exactly.
Less sweet.
You got that molasses flavor in there, the smokiness.
And you know what? I like that hearty cornmeal crunch.
It's got a nice texture to it, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. And together, it's really nice. Really nice. All right, on to the veg.
Get a medley of colors.
We sure do.
Nice and smoky.
Let's see here. A little squash, a little pepper, a little onion. Yeah. That smoked paprika not only gave it some smoke, but gave it a little touch of heat, too.
Yeah.
Not bad, though. Not like over-the-top heat, but just enough to sort of wake that up.
Absolutely.
That is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, what a healthy meal, right?
Exactly. Nutrient dense, full of flavor, and vegetarian. In
Awesome.
Fact, vegan.
Something that everybody can enjoy pretty gillously.
Exactly.
Right?
That's it.
Jessica, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure we'll be doing this again.
Most
Bringing back
likely.
some more veg and healthy stuff.
That's what I like to do.
Awesome. Well, it just goes to show you, we really are cooking with some of the best chefs from right here in our own community. On behalf of myself, everyone here at the show, Jessica, thank you for watching Community Cooking, and have a great day. All right, back in.
If you'd like a copy of the recipes seen on this show, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Office of Cable and Community Relations. That's 3350 Civic Center Drive, Suite 200, in Torrance, California, 90503. Be sure to note the show number displayed on the screen. And don't forget, you can find all the fresh ingredients used on today's show at the Farmers Market. Visit the one here in Torrance at Wilson Park. That's located at 2200 Crenshaw Boulevard. They're open every Tuesday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., rain or shine. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at communitycooking@torranceca.gov and check us out online at youtube.com/TorranceCitiCABLE and like us on Facebook at Community Cooking TV.